Hello netizens, Otakonians, and people who are actually subscribed to me. Today I am going to talk about Otakon, but more so my own experiences from Otakon. So this will be Secretly Viola's Otakon Survival Guide. Okay, so as I've just said, these are just more my experiences and things that I wish to share with you guys regarding usually like the things that most first-time Otakoners really don't know. I don't want to say like so much mistakes because they're not really like mistakes unless you really don't plan ahead. But there's things that you can do to avoid having, I don't want to say not a great experience because that sounds like I had a bad experience at Otakon, and I actually haven't had an extremely bad experience at Otakon yet. So basically, as a point of reference, this year will only be my third Otakon, but I feel like I have gained enough experience. I'm of course not going to know everything about Baltimore and the BCC and everything about like Otakon and stuff because I've only really been there 3 years. There are more experienced people who you can probably get more advice from, and I do recommend doing that before going to Otakon, just so you know where and like as much information as you need to know. But I felt like I could at least provide at least some information so that you know a little bit more about, you know, what to expect at the convention. Just to share my own personal experiences. Sometimes it's good to just have like a whole bunch of different experiences and, you know, people's stories from those experiences. Of course, watching vlogs is very helpful. And also watching, you know, survival guide, advice videos from, you know, other YouTubers, not just me. So yeah, I guess we can consider that the first tip. So the actual first tip I am actually going to give you is the best way to obtain your badge, because it isn't as easy as you would think. And let me just say that in past years I have waited about 3 hours to get a badge, and that wasn't fun. So basically the easiest way you can obtain a badge is by going online, registering online, and making sure you have a badge. This is actually completely, extremely imperative for this year. Not extremely imperative, but it is something that you really do want to consider because this year they actually put an attendance cap at 35,000 people. And if they sell out at 35,000, that is it. There are no more badges, and there will not be any more badges put out because, yeah, that'll be the last of them all. And basically they did that because of the space constraints, because there are a lot of people that go to Otakon. Like, we almost hit 35,000 last year, and I'm pretty sure we're probably going to hit it this year. Whether or not that is going to be hit before the convention or after, we will see. Well, okay, I should say whether that number is going to be hit before the convention or during it, which will probably most likely happen because a lot of people come to pre-register. Basically, pre-registering and not registering at the door is the safest way to go get your badge. However, it is not the only way. I'm actually going to explain 2 different ways that you can actually do this. So like I said before, the first way you can do it is by pre-registering and getting there on Thursday night to pick up your badge. Chances are, when the badge line opens for pre-registration on Thursday, it is going to be really long. Pre-registration pickup opens at 3 p.m. this year. I'm pretty sure like in past years it opened at like 11 a.m. I'm not really 100% remembering right now. But maybe that's because when I got there it was kind of really early, and I thought it was kind of like, you know, a long wait because I had to wait for people to get to where I was so I could check in my hotel. But the best way to get your badge is probably to go at like 8-9 p.m. when nobody's there. Mind you, registration this year closes at 10 p.m. I'm pretty sure last year they actually did close at 11 p.m. So maybe that's where I'm thinking the 11 came in. But yeah, that's one way of doing it, and I highly recommend you do it that way because the line on Friday for pre-registration will probably be about 3, 4, 5 hours long. It literally comes, like, if this is registration right here, this is how it is. Like there's one building here that's attached. These 2 buildings are attached overhead. I will get into that later. but the pre-registration line wraps from registration, which is right here, all the way around the back of the building and then back. So it's a long line, and all these people are still trying to get into the building. So what I am going to say to you is that you have to plan ahead and try to get a Thursday night hotel reservation. It saves a lot of headache and probably a lot of heat stroke. Because quite honestly, I never want to stand in that line again. I stood in that line my first year and never again. Never again. You see, Otakon is really a 3-day con, but it's really a 4-day con. it's honestly a 4-day con because like just getting the badge on Thursday is an event in and of itself. Alternatively, you could wait it out, see if there are any more badges available at the door on Friday, and then try to slip into the at the door line. Mind you that this year it will be extremely tricky to do that because of the attendance cap. I think currently there's something about like 8,000 badges left. I don't know, it might be much less than that. I will probably put the real number somewhere on the screen of how many badges are left at the time of editing this video. But it is going to be a very tricky situation, especially for this year. It's a risk. Does it cut down your waiting time by a lot? Absolutely. Because actually last year, one of my friends did not pre-register, went into the at the door line and was out within about an hour and a half, probably even less than that. Let me just say it's much faster than the pre-registration line. However, it is a very tricky thing to do. So yeah, those are the best 2 ways you can attain badges. One is probably a lot more secure than the other, but both are actually good ways of getting your badge kind of quickly. And you don't, like, it's not 100% like a goal, but you definitely don't really want to be standing in the line on Friday. It is not a fun experience at all. And 0 out of 10 would not recommend at all. So, moving throughout the BCC, my second actual tip is that you do not want to stall in the BCC. There are especially high traffic areas. Basically, there is a skywalk that connects one building from the other, this being the registration building, this being like the other side of that, of the BCC, which is where like usually most of the cosplay events are, like the indoor fountains and all of that, and yeah, that would be this side. There is a skywalk. That skywalk gets extremely crowded. What I recommend is that if you have to go through that skywalk, keep moving. Do not stop for a picture, do not stop to look out the window unless it's really for some reason low traffic. Keep moving through that hallway because I'm telling you it gets really cramped. However, there are ways to avoid this hallway, but one of them involves going outside and then the other involves cutting through the artist alley or the dealer room, I think. But you probably get better access through the artist alley. But basically, you want to go, like, instead of going through this overhead, there is a door right underneath both sides of the building. And so basically what you want to do is, instead of going up, instead of staying on the 3rd floor and going up through the sidewalk, you want to actually go down to the 2nd floor, go out the doors, and then probably either go around to where registration is or cut into the bottom doors where the artist alley and the dealer's room are. I think it's easier to actually just go straight outside for registration and come back up inside. However, it is very time consuming. So like I said, if you have to get through the skywalk quickly, just keep moving. Don't stop for anything. So also, the other place that gets extremely crowded is actually the indoor fountain area. And that will more than likely be very crowded depending on what is actually going on in there. If there's a screening in there, you are not getting to that area. Just go outside. Go outside and go around. It's probably the easiest thing to do. Yeah, it gets really crowded. That's all I can say. It gets really crowded, and it's an amazing con, but it's so crowded. Basically, if you see a high traffic area, just try to either avoid it or just keep moving through it. Usually there'll be security to direct people around certain areas. The BCC is a nice sized convention center, but it's so filled with people, basically. Put it lightly. Alright, now, this is actually a continuation of this tip, and that is the dealer's room. Okay, so the dealer's room is a one-flow room. So basically, you enter at one side. If you're gonna be technical, you're gonna enter at one side and then come out the other side. You're gonna enter at one side and then come out the other side. So basically, it goes from, like, if you're trying to get to the dealer's room, this is the registration. I'm just gonna bring the registration over here. You're gonna enter at this area right here. You're gonna come upstairs, and then right here is registration. What you're gonna do is you're gonna pass registration, and then go all the way to the back of this side of the building. Go down some stairs, and then you will be in the dealer's room. Now, the dealer's room goes from the back of the building to the front of the building. And that is the only way it goes. You cannot leave outside of the entrance area, because that is the entrance area and they will stop you from leaving out of the area. You have to go in the other direction towards the front of the BCC. You don't really have to keep track of that. There will be people to direct you, and of course there is the map, which I will get into in a minute. But basically, the dealer's room. The dealer's room gets crowded at the peak times of opening on Friday, all of Saturday, and then most of Sunday. So what I would say is probably try to go to the dealer's room on Friday around midday, probably around lunchtime when people are trying to actually, get out there for food. It's probably like kind of the best time to say things. To say the least of things. I don't really know 100% because I don't actually go to the dealer's room that much as I would like to at Otakon. I went there a total of 3 times, probably in 2012, and probably only 1 or 2 times in 2013. Hopefully I will get to go more because I really don't know about it. But yeah, that's the main tip. Just also keep moving throughout the dealer's room. I would say try to do a lap first and then go in and start buying things, because let me tell you, it's very, very crowded. If you can't do a lap, then just try to find what you need. It's a huge dealer's room. There's a lot of selection. It's really good. Like, the good thing about these larger cons is that you have a wide selection of stuff to choose from. Wigs, accessories, figures. Crunchyroll usually has a booth, and Netflix, I think, usually has a booth. Funimation definitely has a booth. I know. And so, you have all these industry people, and you can, it's a lot of fun in the dealer's room, but just remember that it gets really, really crowded in there, and pretty hot too. Yeah, it's pretty hot in there. So just keep that in mind when you go. But it is a lot of fun. The next thing I want to get into is something that is very, very important, which I personally think is important for every con. And I mean, I could sit here and I could tell you, oh yeah, don't forget to shower, put on deodorant, do all of that stuff. But yeah, and all those things are very, very true, but you can find that in any con survival guide. But for Otakon specifically, one of those rules is very, very more imperative than like any other con, and that is the buddy system. At Otakon, it is imperative. It is so important that you have a friend that you are going with, because it is a huge convention, and if you do not have somebody that you are around or is willing to, hang out with you for a good majority of the con, it's going to be pretty scary if you are right there by yourself. Of course, if you don't mind it, then that's fine, but it's still important to have somebody at the con if something happens. Like, I just can't stress enough how important the buddy system is at this convention, because it is a huge convention and it is a sea of people, and if you are by yourself and you don't have anybody to contact, then it is going to be a really big problem. Other thing to do is to set a meet-up place. If you are trying to contact or get to some friends, just like send out a mass text, we're meeting in this room at this time, stuff like that. So yeah, that's the most important rule. So now we tumble into the rest of these rules. Food in Baltimore. Basically, so if this is the BCC, we have our registration side, we have our rest of the convention side, and then we go out. There is a door up top on these escalators that lead into the indoor fountains area. That's also called the Charles Street Lobby. If anybody who works at the BCC directs you to that area, that's what that is. That is the indoor fountain area. Yes. If you go above the indoor fountain area, there is a skywalk. This skywalk leads to a very, very flat area. It kind of looks like a roof, but it's attached to a whole bunch of other buildings in the area, including the Hyatt, which is apparently part of the convention this year. I didn't know why. But yeah, that is a thing. And then you are going to go out. There's going to be this flat area. You're going to go past the Hyatt to a collection of 3 malls that are kind of surrounding the harbor. There is one that is the first one you're going to reach when you go like straight through to the skywalk, and then that I believe that mall carries Subway, definitely, Johnny Rockets, and Bubblegum. I'm pretty sure it's Bubblegum. I don't remember. And yeah, it carries a bunch of restaurants, but the other 2 sides of the mall, there is one that is kind of, we're going to move this over here. Once you get into the, that one strip of mall that has those 3 restaurants in it, you can go outside, you can go around the harbor, and then there's one mall that's right here. And then you can also cross the street and then there's another mall. These all have food places in them. Like I said, Subway, and then there's also a sushi place somewhere in there. There is a McDonald's, I'm pretty sure it's still there. There is another Asian noodles place. I don't know if that place is still there. I went to that place in 2012, but that was like the last time I actually went there. And yeah, generally just, you know, if you're trying to look for food, go to those areas. There used to be a California Tortilla. We used to hang there every single night of Otakon. That California Tortilla is sadly gone. Yeah, they closed it down, and it was really sad. I know Alec was really sad about it. So yeah, there are food places around, you just have to look for them. There is also another Subway right across the street from the BCC, but I do recommend going to the one that is in the mall because it's generally less crowded, and just generally, you know, it's a lot easier. Now, there are other food places scattered throughout Baltimore. If I were anyone, I would not recommend going to these places unless you are with somebody who knows where these places are, because I am not sure myself, and I don't live in Baltimore. And if you have like somebody in your group that, you know, lives around Baltimore or like has visited Baltimore enough and like lives in Maryland or whatever, who knows that area well enough, then I would definitely say, you know, stick with those people for food. But basically, yeah, stick with anybody for food. That's part of the buddy system rule, is that you always like leave the convention center with a buddy, stay in the convention center with a buddy. Now, an additional rule to that, and this is something that was from my own experiences last year, I would not recommend going past like a certain point in Baltimore. Let's say that you were going to walk up to the Masquerade area, which is actually the First Mariner Arena, which they rent out every Saturday for the Masquerade. If you go any further than that, you're probably going to hit some not very, I don't want to say not very friendly places in Baltimore, but not very 100% safe Baltimore places in Baltimore. Basically, what you want to do is you want to just stay within the convention strip and area. Try to stay within the harbor area. Don't go much further than that unless your hotel is there. And if your hotel is like further back in the Baltimore area, take the light rail. And so a final continuation to the buddy handler is that if you need a cosplay handler, like let's say you have gigantic wings, you can't do anything about that because that's the way you design them. If you know, that's fine. It's not, you know, a big deal. If the costume calls for it, then, you know, you want to translate it as best as possible. However, if you need a cosplay handler, I would suggest staying out of the high traffic areas as much as possible. I'm not saying you can't go through those areas, but it's probably a lot better for you and your cosplay handler if you try not to go through really high traffic areas such as that skywalk I was talking about and the Charles Street lobby / indoor common area. So that's the majority of the tips that I have for you guys. If you have any more questions about anything that you're concerned about going to Otakon, you can leave them below. I can also link you to some other good advice videos, places on the screen that I originally used as a first Otakon goer. Yeah, I hope to see you guys there if you're going, and I hope you have fun. Like, the con itself is actually a lot of fun. I actually don't usually go to panels that much, probably because I'm too busy dancing. But yeah, so yeah, hope to see you guys soon. See ya.